Welcome back to another semi-scary edition of the Jagged Edge. This is Ian here, along with Chris.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ah.
you
Our spectacular edition.
yeah. If you're not scared yet, the effect obviously didn't work, so never mind. But
Yeah.
you gonna what are you doing? Anything? You gonna be a zombie or anything?
I don't think I'm doing anything this year.
Fair enough. Fair
I'm
enough.
gonna watch the movies. I haven't seen a lot of them so far yet. I have not seen a lot of horror movies so far.
You know, I don't know about how much we actually have to comment on this year in terms of horror. I mean, well, besides it,
There's It,
yeah.
which I haven't seen yet.
No, that's the major one, and there are a couple others sporadically out there, but we're gonna get into that a little bit later in our segment. One major thing we're covering the show is we said we were gonna do last week. We're gonna be looking at our top horror film picks. This is one that I had to swim through a bit myself, as not being a native fan of horror. I actually went out and there's a certain movie I did go and check out. Glad I did watch it because I was curious if seeing that was going to be enough to make my list, and turns out it did. So well worth it, and well worth going back over some of the old stuff I saw too.
Your list is so bare you had to go fill it.
That
you had to go see one.
That needs to tell you everything. I'll be honest. Like when I was looking at the top picks, top four, like I literally got through pretty quick with what I'd assigned, and like my number one spot stayed where it was. And I started looking. I'm like, I just don't. All right, let me go see if what I've been intending to see is worth it, and it was. So.
Was it It?
Mm-mm,
No.
not it.
You know, we probably should have seen that though. See if it was going to make the list. I suppose it's almost better though, because if people are actually interested in these movies, they can just go and rent them like you did.
There you go.
Instead of having to go to the theater. So you know what do you think though? Do you think horror movies are better at home or in the theater?
Man, I'm all about having a horror movie at home.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's because there's something about the whole spatiality, something about the whole environment more. Like
Right.
you're not sharing that reaction in a theater. I think when you're in a theater, kind of zoom out, because now your reaction, you're going to see like 5, 10, 15, 20 other nearby reactions to that, and it throws off the scale of it. It's just not the same.
No, I agree. Plus, you can go run and hide in your room if you want. Ah,
Oh man.
this guy, he scares too easy.
Yep. I'm out of here. Nope. Didn't even want to. I want to go hide behind my desktop when Chris said we're doing the show. So, nope. Done. Too scary.
I made him do it, but one thing that we did not have to make you do at all is watch the new Black Panther trailer that came out this week.
I see what you're doing there, and
Ah,
not at all. This is if you don't have your Marvel or superhero radar tuned these days, please, you need to do so. While we're coming to the end of 2017, Thor Ragnarok right on the corner, a couple weeks from now. Of course, Black Panther, Avengers on the horizon. There's so much good stuff to watch out for, and this trailer didn't disappoint. So just sort of jumping into it, as far as what we saw. Before I talk about the narrative stuff, I want to talk about like just the style of it. Now, I don't know if this bothered you, because this jumped out at me a little bit. You know, the the beginning part kind of cranks up the lyrics behind everything is happening. It's like they're marching through the state of the world and everything. There's that yeah in the background, and literally I'm looking. I'm like, do I have another tab open somewhere? Where is that? I'm like, oh, never mind. Like that threw me off so bad until it kicked in full. I mean, that fit okay with the theme, I guess, but yeah, I thought that was weird.
you know, it's funny you bring this up because I actually had to I had to look this up. I learned a new cultural term for this movie, Afrofuturism, which I did not know was a thing.
It is.
I know that now.
And
I'm well aware that this movie oozes it. At least the trailer does. I'm sure the rest of the movie does too.
it does.
Yeah, there's obviously this is obviously taking from parts of culture that that Marvel has not delved into too much. I mean, we saw definitely not Afrofuturism, but we definitely saw more of an African American culture for Luke Cage. Which
Yeah.
what episode are you on?
Gonna be that guy.
Well, no, you're being that guy.
Busted. Yep. One.
But yeah, no, I mean, was the music for this trailer my style? Do I have any of that on my phone? No, but it was fine. It was fun.
Yeah, it fit. It fit, and it works. But yeah, I mean, talking about especially like Afrofuturism and really diving into the whole cultural movements and just general diaspora of like Africa. That's something that's rarely covered in film, even in gaming or a whole lot of other fictional outlets and stuff like that. It's kind of cool because it almost reminds me of like sort of like Cyberpunk in a different spin, in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of existing, in its own zone, and I think that very, very much fits with the whole theme of Black Panther. Bear in mind all the Avengers films we've gone through, and the outtakes of those, like Civil War and everything, all the side stories, Tony Stark, Thor, and everyone. This isn't a place in the world we focused on at all. If anything, we started to zoom in a little bit more on it when they start to talk about vibranium or the sources of the metals that compose Cap Shield and some of the military grade weaponry. But other than that, we know nothing about this. It's been hidden away for a reason. And now we're getting like a direct look into, okay, what's this all about? What's his kingdom all about? What are the things that they're struggling with? And that's cool. In the same hand, that's placed right alongside a world that has completely changed since the invasion. And I love it because as these movies go on, you see the incorporation of that tech everywhere. And this is definitely something that Black Panther's team and his society, everyone else, that they have not been left behind on. If anything, I'd argue that they seem further ahead.
No, yeah, a lot. It's kind of weird. You're watching this, and because it does seem like with everything that we've seen develop from Iron Man, from the first one on into the MCU, and then to now here we are almost a decade later being introduced to this culture that has had all this technology and probably in some way surpasses it. It's a little hard to swallow, quite honestly. I mean, if you know the history and the lore behind Black Panther, you know that this is in fact the case. But I mean, I know of it, I know the basics of it, but I've never really followed Black Panther, but you're getting introduced to not just a new culture, but one that in many ways seems to far surpass the one that we do know.
Yeah,
and that I think that's just I think it's fine, but it's a little hard to swallow. I think it kind of takes you out a little bit. I hope the movie does a much better job of introducing this to people because just I mean, right there at the beginning of the trailer, boom! Here's this almost spaceship-like plane, and we're going through holograms and all these things, and just they're shooting lasers out of guns that have jaguar faces or panther faces, and it's all very cool. I'm loving it, but at the same time, it's like, really, you're not sharing any of this with the world. Why is that? And there's reasons for it, I'm sure. I know there wasn't the comics because this is ripped right out of the comics. But it's very interesting. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it at the same time. I'm torn. I'm torn on it.
Which is fair. There's so many unknowns, but one thing I can always credit Marvel for is shaking the boat a bit. Whenever we get a little too comfortable with the group that we know, or sort of the thematic style that we know, injecting something fresh into that, something we don't know, is something they're known to do, and I think it's what they're doing here. And hey, cool. You've more than won me checking out Marvel films, so I'll be there.
Well, and it's great to see Claw being Claw finally. I mean, in the teaser we saw him. We saw the character from Age of Ultron where he loses his arm, and then we saw him in the teaser trailer where he's sitting there and he clearly doesn't have his arm, but we actually get to see him with his upgrade now, with his claw like gun thing. which is going to be cool. And of course, it's always good to see Andy Serkis. In fact, I don't think there's a movie that he's done. I was thinking about this. I don't think there's a movie he's done that I do not thoroughly enjoy.
He's
he
solid.
seems like the guy to follow. If you watch an Andy Serkis movie, I think you're okay.
I love it. There's man, he's gonna be in oh golly, he's gonna be in Thor Ragnarok. I nickname him Scowl. I know it's really bad because I first picked that up from Lord of the Rings, but I'm gonna get the name for you. Crap. He appears as I think he's Lady Death's attendant.
Well, Andy Serkis can be anything. I mean, even if you look at him in this movie, he looks like somebody in his 50s, and he's all out of shape and older,
Right.
and just very grizzled. And then at the same time, he can play a little halfling.
Yeah.
And
There you go. There you go.
This guy does everything. He's nuts, and he does it all well. I mean, he's Snoke.
Oh, that I missed.
Yeah, he's everywhere, and he's everyone and everything. And
I
generally, when he
overlooked
does,
that.
I mean, he plays monkeys.
Sick. Yeah, that's right. Planet of the Apes. Of course.
Yeah,
course.
dude's everything. It's crazy. It's
Caesar.
love it.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm gonna try not to, even though I'm a huge fan of hers. Diana Gurara, the chick who plays Michonne from The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's in there. Love seeing her in Civil War. Gonna get she's gonna play a much bigger role, obviously, in this movie. She's great. Yeah, looking forward to this. We're getting multiple villains. We're getting Claw, as we were just talking about. We're getting Manape, who I know nothing about outside of what I've read. Considering he's going to be in the movie, we're getting Killmonger, which is obviously, I think that's like the big one for Black Panther.
Right.
It looks cool. It's just, yeah, at the same time, it's like, wait, what do you think's going on? You see it a couple times in the trailer when they switch from like having regular clothes on to having their suits on, and
Yeah.
you see the things are shredding off of them and stuff. You see that twice. What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, I was going to comment on that. That sort of that transformation into the suit, or is that I don't even know what to call that fully, or is it like a layering?
Right.
That it's probably part of the tech, man. I think it's a pretty sweet way to be able to costume and stealth. This is funny, by the way. I'm looking at the timing of this. This comes out. This is near Thor Ragnarok, of course, but I'm looking after Spider-Man. I mean, look at the trouble Peter Parker goes through to get into his costume.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but laugh at that. He's always running, trying to mask it somehow, or hide it under lockers, or do all these awkward things, and then you have stuff like this where it's just completely effortless.
Well, and I think that's a big difference just in the kind of tech that you're talking about too, with obviously what they have there in Wakanda versus all the tech that's been based off of Iron Man and Tony Stark and everything.
Yeah. Which is great. It shows that there's not just rival minds out there to Stark, but that there's 3, 4, 5, 6 ways to approach that. Stark's found one of them. So.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, it's coming out in February. I think it's the last movie before Avengers 3.
Sweet.
So we got about 4 months to go. Yeah, it looks good though. With the holidays, that's gonna zoom right by. Next thing you know, we're gonna be in January here in like 2 weeks.
I mean, I blinked this year. Last time I looked up, it was February. So I don't know what happened.
It's crazy. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah, all around. But no, this looks great. I know we'll be talking about it more in the release, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more to run off of. Really interested to see what the after credit outtakes are going to be in Thor Ragnarok. To see if there's going to be anything that hints at Black Panther moving into that direction. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's what we got. We got Thor, we got Black Panther, and then that's it as far as the movies. The TV shows have rarely, if ever, lead into the movies. So,
Right.
Yeah, they've got these two to lead up.
Good stuff. All right. Also on our hero list, or anti-hero, call it that, the second Punisher trailer came out on for Netflix, And
Mm-hmm.
also, we were talking a little bit about the scheduled release date for this one. You had to be frothing at the mouth for this. Excited.
You mean as far as what? As far as the release date or just the trailer?
Oh, both. I
The,
mean,
the trailer was good. I mean, that first trailer was the best. I still think that's probably the best one to come out this year. But this trailer at least gave us some content as far as the story. I mean, you had a little bit of it, but it really goes a bit in depth into it. Almost too much, I think.
yeah. I was gonna now. I was actually gonna ask that if you thought we're spilling the can too much, that or opening up the story a little too much before it actually comes out.
Yeah, this
Um,
seems to be an issue that Marvel's having as of late, or maybe I just didn't notice it in the past, but I've been starting to notice it now. They're, leading up to these movies and shows, they are just letting a bit too much go. I would have been happy not knowing some of the things that I now know about this show. I would have been happier figuring them out or learning them during the show.
right, right. And I don't know if this is because of like trailer length that that creators want to go to. I don't know if it's for what they think they'll need to like attract an audience. But one thing we kind of lost are the super abstract, just sort of subtle advertisements, really really short. Not giving away
Hmm.
a whole lot, but in the same hand, they're not that involved. You don't see that many clips and that many scenes. I don't know if it's because there's a fear that your audience is a little more. There's less of an attention span for lack of scenes, lack of content like that, inferences. I don't know. I miss it. I always appreciate sort of seeing something that I'm really interested. I'm gonna go watch it anyway, but it doesn't give itself away in many ways. It might hint at some abstract idea or the concept or maybe the theme the show or movie's looking at, but you don't know anything about this actual setup for it.
I'm a little surprised. I mean, we saw this. I think we really started noting about this with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Just as they got
yeah,
into the last month, and we've been seeing it now with Thor. Um, and, I don't get it. I mean, there was a lot of criticism over Batman v Superman before that came out in the
right.
in the final weeks leading up to it. It's like, I don't need to see this movie now.
No,
I've seen the whole thing now in the freaking trailers and all the different. I could literally piece together. I think it was something like 20 some minutes of content was released from trailers for that movie. If you were able to put all the separate content together, it was ridiculous.
and it's crazy. There are a couple of real good bombs they could save to drop for the actual film. I know that I was really surprised that they gave away. Obviously, you knew that the conflict between Batman and Superman, how that was being set up, but completely just revealing Doomsday.
Right? Yeah,
I
that was a bad move.
that hurt. I would have loved to have been surprised by that. I mean, you could you could probably even read into a few things if you took some time to really think about Kryptonian DNA, these Lex Luthor messing around with like the Genesis pet and everything like that, and what that might mean. I would have loved to have seen the speculation that could have came out of that, but that as soon as I saw that, I'm like, yeah, that's probably the big thing for the end, and oh well.
Well, and so I mean, this one, one of the things I'm looking forward to a lot of things for this for the Punisher. But one of the things I really want to see if they do and how well they do it is how they square the circle of the fact that in the Marvel universe, you've got Shield,
Yep.
and Shield was the big, it worked with the government. It was a big agency who took care of all these things. And then if you follow Shield through the agent, well, even through the movies, Shield falls,
Right.
and then it gets rebuilt.
Right. Right.
But while Shield's out, it's a big thing about the government taking control of these things again and dealing with these things. And there's been a lot of government interaction in Marvel, and we're definitely seeing it here
Right.
with the Punisher. I'm just wondering how they square this circle and how they get around with all this. Are we going to see some characters from Agents of Shield and maybe from the movies?
Yeah.
Some of the second tier and third tier characters involved in this. What's going to happen from this? Is this is this just a covert group within these government agencies that are all kind of working here,
Right.
or is this something that's openly known in the government? And they're a lot of conspiracy stuff, but I really want to see how Marvel handles this.
Yeah.
or if they just don't, if they're just, hey, here's our story and we don't really care what the rest of the MCU is doing, which is something that they haven't really done. So I'm not expecting that, but I mean they're really getting into this stuff.
They are, and sort of the loose concepts that are played at too. You've got a lot of current world themes when you think of trying to fit back into society, trying to reimmerse yourself as a civilian or being discharged, things like that. Punisher's got a whole different set of issues to deal with, especially when it comes to what happens to his family, how he's being sought after, how he's being hunted, and his response to that, how he counters it. So, no, it is a huge question. How much does he get tangled up with more of the world we know, or does he end up going to more of the world that's sort of without? Maybe there's no interaction with S.H.I.E.L.D. At all. Maybe
I doubt Shield's involved, but I mean we've still been very familiar. For example, with Black Panther, you have that government agent who we saw from Civil War, who we're going to see who's going to play a major role in Black Panther.
Right.
I forget exactly what agencies he's with. I think he's with the CIA, but they're all over the place in Marvel, and that's fine. And sometimes they intertwine, but it's just going to be really interesting how because this is supposed to be some big huge this big huge thing, this big huge government conspiracy about what they were. I mean, you see it in this trailer about what they've been doing and what they've been using some of the military for, and all these things. I really want to see how they again, use the term again, square the circle on this, and how deep are we going? How much of this are we going to see that we've seen before? How much is this going to is this going to actually play with other characters, other movies? Will we see anything from S.H.I.E.L.D.? I doubt that, but it's I just hope they do it right. I hope they do it the way they've been doing it.
And question of the day: at the end of the day, who controls truth? Why and how?
Right.
We'll see.
That's all right. You have to take it though.
Yeah.
Whoever's got it, you got to take it from him.
Love it.
With a gun. Really big knife.
Maybe a lot of guns. I don't know.
Probably a lot too. Yeah, you're probably right. But no, this looked awesome. They told us too much though. Yeah. I thought just shocking on this though was the release date. We knew it was coming in November, but November 17th.
Right around the corner.
That's familiar.
It is. It is.
That's very familiar. I was a little surprised. Same day as Justice League.
What do you know?
Wow, that's a little bit of a gut punch.
Poke in the eye?
Yeah, that I was a little surprised by that. Normally you hear Marvel being supportive of DC and saying, "Hey, it's better that it's better if we're all doing good and we're all making good movies," which is true, and I agree.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of punch them in the gut a little bit. It's like, "Oh, that's your release date? Too bad.
Wink,
that's our release date."
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
And Netflix hides. Well, let me rephrase. Maybe hides not the best word. Netflix controls and rarely releases their numbers as far as views for shows. They keep that close to the chest. But I definitely think that's something that I definitely think this was intentional.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This was more than we're a TV show and that's a movie, so that should be completely different. On bullshit. That's completely different audience. That's the same audience, and you want to see how your numbers are versus that movie, and who decided to see which first. That's exactly what that was.
That's what happens when you poke the bear.
Oh, well, yeah, no, it's surprising though. But one thing for sure, we're going to have a lot to review that weekend.
Oh yeah, that's going to be busy. We're going to have to talk about how we're going to break that down. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff on screen to watch.
Yeah, we'll be there. Hey, as long as I don't obey my Voltron track record, I'll be all right.
Oh, that I forgot to put that on the show this week. Did you watch season 4?
Nope.
Not watching yet. The season 4, which is actually season 3, the second half. Of season.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only 6 episodes.
That's not much. I could crack through that.
You add that onto the 7 we saw just a few months ago. Hey, that's 13. That was almost like a whole season.
There you go.
Because that's what it was. It's very good. I'm still upset that they split it up like this, but it was very good. I think actually this season 4, quote unquote, is I think that's my favorite so far. There were some really good stories in there.
Cool. Cool.
So yeah, you gotta watch that.
All right, because I've loved it so far. So sweet. All right, cranking right on into gaming, going into the Nintendo direction. Normally Forbidden Zone, right? This Nintendo is moving in more in the direction of mature content. That is a report from the Wall Street Journal. This came out this week that Nintendo has reached out to a number of game devs, explicitly encouraging them to release more mature-oriented games for the Switch. Game creators for games like Gun Gal are receiving positive feedback from Nintendo when in discussion for future games for their system. Mature-rated games like Skyrim and Doom, you can expect those to be come out with about in the next month. Well, heck, all that being said, Nintendo themselves really don't have any plans to make mature games themselves.
Yeah. I think they've come out with 4 in like the last 15 years.
Yeah, looking at this, this is, I can't help but look at during especially the PS3 era, Xbox, when you started to begin to see so many games not just coming out as a console exclusive, or rather the concept of exclusives really starting to break down. Having everything for everything, that's the moniker of the day to day. For PS4, Xbox, PC. That's almost interchangeable with how fast somebody can spit out Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's just really sort of a par for the course with a lot of games today having multiple platform releases, and Nintendo kind of jumping in like, yeah, us too. Why not?
Yeah, this I mean, I was a little surprised by this. Almost a surprise because I'd completely forgot that Skyrim was a mature game.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but it's kind of like when I realized that Tomb Raider was a mature game. The latest ones. Oh, well, yeah, I guess so. That's pretty graphic. Yeah, I don't. Sure. Ultimately, they should. They're way behind on this. Quite honestly, this is almost like, well, duh.
Right.
Kind of like coming out with enough NES and SNES minis for people who want to buy them. So not to harp on that anymore, but seriously, it's just kind of like, duh. Yeah, right. You should be doing that. Can you give me one good reason why you're not?
And this is, Nintendo has always been it's funny, one step forward with original characters with the original games and themes, but 2 steps backwards in terms of marketing and how they choose to use the Nintendo name and what they attach to the IP. For one thing, I'm glad they got over the fear of, wait, don't watch us, don't watch our content, don't put this on the big screen, and allowed themselves to do Evo. But this is just something really common that's happening with gaming today. Just been slow to jump on with. So
yeah.
But yeah. Then you reminded me of Gun Gal. I saw it in passing. just kind of chuckled.
There's things that we have to do sometimes for this show, and having to, because I remember seeing something about that some years ago, but having to, I completely forgot what it was. I'm like, well, what's this Gun Gal 2 that they're citing in this specifically? So I had to go look at them. Like, oh my god.
What that
really
takes me back to? Do you remember? This might ring a bell. Armored Girl of the Month.
Oh, don't no. No.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
I don't, I get it. I understand that there's a subsection of gamers and anime fans that really enjoy this stuff being meshed together, and no, we're getting dangerously close to furry territory and stuff like that, and I have no desire for it.
I get you.
I acknowledge its existence, and I don't even have anything bad to say about it. Hey, you do you.
Right.
I don't need to have anything to do with it, though.
Enough said.
But there you go. That is shocking, though, that Nintendo's encouraging these kind of games. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, they've delved into gory or violent games before. I mean, I remember when the 64 came out, one of the big things that came out for that was they had the exclusive Doom 64.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was very interesting to see that they come out with that. But they are very scarce. But I mean, this is newsworthy, as in because this is a step in the right direction. But really, again, this is just, hey, come on, catch up with all the big kids.
Yeah.
Because you're way behind.
So more to come. We'll see what gets announced down the line, and deal with the others we got. Now, real fast.
Hold on. Yeah, actually, real fast before you do that, we will not be doing a review for Gun Gals.
That's not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
That being said, I'm throwing out a hypothetical. I know you're never gonna get a Switch. I know you're playing through Doom right now, and you've made a lot of progress through it. If you were a Switch owner, and let's say you already own Doom on a different console, would you want to get Doom specifically for Switch if it came out on that?
No, but that's not because of the Switch. I've been looking at Doom for a while, but I'm about a year late on it. I'm well over a year late on it. I know that. I bought it a couple months ago, just getting around to playing it now. I waited for it to drop in price. I mean, I wouldn't because because I prefer my first-person shooters on PC. I always have.
Right.
I cannot stand how they play on a controller. I've never been able to, and that's because I started with first-person shooters on the PC. I started back with the original Doom and Quake 2 and Unreal, and I mean I cannot adapt to that. What feels like a molasses speed of playing with a console controller. I cannot do it. I will not do it. It's like being in a race when I can only hop on one foot. So because of that reason, no. I mean, that's kind of an impossible question to ask, because then if I take my affinity away from playing first-person shooters on a PC, would I get it for the Switch? Probably still no.
Right.
Because then you take away my almost guaranteed interest of first-person shooters. So, yeah, I mean, plus the Switch is just way too gimmicky.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, there's all the other reasons why I just don't like the Switch, and then we get into why I don't like Nintendo. So, is that great? Yeah, I think that's great. Games like Doom should be out on all the systems. It's a great game. I mean, the franchise has always been awesome. Now, if the question was asked if I only had a Switch,
right,
would I get Doom? Yes.
Fair enough.
But that's, if my only choice is vanilla ice cream, I will at least get vanilla ice cream. So.
All right. Fair enough. Two other quick pieces of gaming news we had. One is Humble Bundle. Those of you that follow that, I don't. I have a couple friends that do. There's just a brief acquisition that happened this week. Specifically, this was in this is IG. I'm sorry, I was about to say IG, and I was about to botch my own thing. There was an acquisition that occurred with Humble Bundle. For those of you who might be kind of unfamiliar with what that is,
that's me.
Really, it's a game platform. You can get to go and buy or in bulk purchase games, and half the proceeds always go towards producers. The other half go towards charities. If you want to dig in exactly what that looks like, that's all detailed on Humble Bundle site. But yeah, IGN acquired them. There wasn't really anything else, much else to say alongside it, except that they're just simply under new ownership. But the project itself continues. Humble Bundle, to my knowledge, at least I started really tracking this when Steam started to really become big. And of course, the idea of being able to, in mass, have an electronic portal to pick up games or old school games, things like that. That's something pretty appealing, or even indie games too. So it goes on. In my mind, they've always been sort of a right alongside Games Done Quick, kind of like that same theme. Games Done Quick, they have a cause or a charity that they game for, that they do speed runs for. So whereas ACGDQ is the gaming side of it, like Stream Play, here's the actual customer buying side of it. So Check it out, Humble Bundle, if you haven't.
Yeah, I never even heard of it before. I'm going to be checking it out.
Cool. The last piece was it's about Activision. I think this was sort of silly, but it's worth looking at. This was a patent that Activision required for multiplayer-based games. Essentially, this is really I guess a sales pitch is the best way to frame this one. Basically, the idea is to set up somewhat of a microtransaction system within multiplayer games, or allow players to do that. The basic idea behind it, this is actually an excerpt from what was actually submitted when the idea was first posted a few years back. It's, quote, a system and method is provided that drives microtransactions in multiplayer video games. The system may include a microtransaction arrange matches to influence game-related purchases. For example, the system may match a more expert or marquee player with the junior player to encourage the junior player to make game-related purchases of items possessed by the expert player. A junior player might wish to emulate the expert player by obtaining weapons or other items used by the expert player. Big caveat to that was that, again, back in 2015, patent was filed with the team working independently from R&D Studios, and how it hasn't been fully implemented in the game yet. But even still, I doubt we're going to see this instantly implemented in something big like Destiny 2 or like Call of Duty. It's sort of reactionary, but I think of microtrans, and we see this in not just mobile gaming and other things like there's some Blizzard games, of course, Diablo, when the Real Money Auction House, when that sent waves, everyone's talked about that plenty. But this is just sort of odd. This just seems like in the way, I feel like I swat enough ads down when I'm going through YouTube and things like that. I'm not going to envy the other guy. If you play better than me, cool. You've earned that. I need to work on my chops in this. Or it was really good playing against somebody, better match than I am. I don't want what you have because you played better than me. I think based off that reasoning, I don't see it. So
that's exactly what this is. This is. I'm torn on this.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, this is kind of dirty shit.
Yeah.
I mean, just to be honest, this is like, yeah, so we're going to pair these new people up with all these experienced veterans and these, all these, much further along players. No, you don't care about that. You're going to pair them up with people who have spent money. And you're going to try, because they're going to, and you're hoping that them seeing these other players and how they've spent money will encourage them to spend money. And the capitalism part of me loves that and think that's ingenious.
Yeah.
But the gamer part of me really doesn't like this. And just like that's just dirty. That's just kind of dirty. I get it. This is all about making money. I get that, but this is, I mean, come on. All you're doing is encouraging teenagers to take their parents' credit card. That's all you're doing.
If you want to earn the cool stuff, look at it old style. I think one of the biggest rewards, I think back to, when in Doom, the first time I unlocked the chain gun, or I found the BFG, or in the Sonic series when I first gathered 7 Chaos Emeralds and got 50 rings. Those were moments that caught me off guard, but they were cool. And when you unlocked them, it felt really good to earn. And to come across something that you worked for, that you put into. So you'll see that as a bit of a purist view, so be it. But I think that takes some of the reward and some of the fun out of just manually playing through a game and unlocking something cool. So
I agree. I mean, there's been tests done on this, and there's actual endorphins that are released in your brain when you finally get that stuff, and that's great. I mean, I'm all about that. I rated in WoW for years, and I was never, I was a casual raider to start, who wasn't, and then moderate, and then hardcore rating. And when you finally beat that boss, or you finally get that item, that's awesome. That being said, people are busy, and if they want to spend $10 to get that item too, that's fine.
Right.
So I mean, I'm okay with this, I guess, but it's just.
Yeah.
it feels like catfishing.
Yeah.
It really does. It's like setting up, as you said, like it's a matchmaking system,
Right.
and it's like setting up a matchmaking system outside of gaming for a bunch of guys who have trouble with chicks, setting them up with chicks, and being, well, if you want to see more pictures of me, you're going to have to spend some money. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're right on.
That's what it feels like, and that's kind of dirty.
There you have it.
I mean, there's nothing new here with this system, but this has been around since late night shows and 900 numbers.
Oh man.
So, yeah, all right. I just hope it doesn't go too far, but it probably will. And the whole point, I mean, the whole thing's based on money, not just to have the system, but to patent it so that they can then have other people lease it out and use it and use the system. It's like, I guess I don't have a problem with this because, I mean, the art of creating games for the sake of creating the game it's always been there, but it's never been the driving force of gaming.
Right.
It influences it, but the driving force of games is money.
Dollars and cents.
It always has been. It always has been. And so I'm sure some people are going to cry that this is going to ruin things. It's not. It's not. But it's just another way for them to grab some money, and it's kind of shitty. And I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah. And a wink and a nod to, I think, some of the incredible success of some mobile apps. I think back to Gumi, who are now working on their mainstay of FF Brave Exvius, but I mean, what was it, Brave Frontier, and games like that just have insane margins for the amount people spend on mobile gaming. I forget what that article was. That guy, there was someone that dropped 5 digits trying to get a random roll, like to hit bank on it, just stuff he was just rolling for. It happens. It happens. So I think that's something that you're going to see devs look at more and more down the road. You make a AAA blockbuster game, but why not do a microtransaction that can, or a lot of them that can net you 80 times more profit? But that's another day, another time.
Yeah, I'm just going to say about this real quick. I get it, and I probably stand on the side of gaming culture that says, hey, you should earn those things. You should put in the time. You should farm, or you should run that dungeon, or you should do that quest time and time again to try to get that rare item, to try to get that powerful thing. I get that. I did that for years.
Yeah.
But there just comes a point, especially, I mean, with our generation. Well, you're a different generation to me. I'm kind of Gen X. You're a millennial, but gaming is getting older. This culture is getting older, and people are still gaming as they're getting older. It's like, you know what? I'm married. I got a couple kids. I got to go clean the garage. Here's $10. I support that too.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's a fine line here. I think between achievement, and in the same hand between trying to place achievement on a pedestal. I think coming off as elitist, saying that you should only be able to earn this after X amounts of play. Some games meet a middle ground with this. I think what Square is doing with FF14 is a good example. The raid tier gear or the item level of that gear for the few months of that patch of that cycle. There's only one way to get it. You do a raid. Whereas in the next succeeding patch, you can upgrade items that you buy off of currency, in-game currency and tomes you get from doing instances. And then you do like a new 24-man instance and earn like a token or two to upgrade that to the same item level the raid gear would be, giving you multiple passive progression if you don't, get that one thing. So the model's there. It's handled different. But all right.
Grabbing for that money.
That's all it's to it, man. That's all it's to it. Well, on a film note,
here we go.
Our centerfold topic. These are our top...
Centerfold topic?
Yeah, I thought you'd love that.
I like it.
Wait for
right there with Gun Gals. There it is.
Our top 5 favorite horror films.
Right.
The last time we did one of these, we talked about superhero films, and I horrified Chris with my love of Nuclear Man. And said, your face. You hated Superman 4. You don't see the artistic beauty
The artistic beauty of no, we're not going to go through all that again. You're not baiting me into that.
All right.
But you're actually our lists were half the same.
Yeah.
Now I made the mistake last time when I gave you the show notes. I shared my list with you.
Right.
I have not done that this time. That being said, I've told you about a couple things that we were sure was going to end up on my list, and I know a couple of yours, but we don't know where they landed.
Right. Right. Oh. Well, let's find out. Let's start at 5.
Okay, you go first.
I knew you were gonna. See, I knew you were gonna.
Well, I went first last time, and then your 5 was Superman 4. So
I was about to say. All right, you sure you want me to go first? I might do this again.
that's
No.
right. So you're going to start it out this time. You're going to set the standard, because if I set the standard and then you blew it away. So
My number 5 pick, my 5th favorite, is Jeepers Creepers 2.
okay.
This is one Chris and I chatted a little bit about after the show previous week. And this one just always stands out to me because I saw this in passing. I think like on Sci-Fi or something, like a few years back. And I fortunately I caught it right from the beginning. And I just kind of stopped. I'm like, oh, what's this? And this one pretty got panned from a lot of reviews and everything I saw for it. But it was honestly the chase element, I think, of this hellacious creature they were dealing with, and just the amount of madness they had to go through to kill this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me, it's just something out of some crazy flick, or like a something I would have seen in Resident Evil or whatever. But no, it was a fun play without really heavy use of CG and things like that in a time where you wouldn't really consider that. But I mean, a good thrill ride. I also love the ending of it. With
should you spoil it?
Maybe I shouldn't go there.
Don't spoil it.
Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should.
Yeah. Just say that it's a great ending.
That's fair. It's a great ending. It's a good setup, and I'll leave it at that. But I definitely did enjoy the hunt aspect, and reverse hunt aspect in a lot of ways of trying just to kill this thing and take it out. A fun flick.
I agreed. They don't quite end up on my list, but no, they're fun. The first one and the second one. I think I like the second one a little bit more too.
Yeah.
They're different rides though, but they're both rides, but they're different rides. Do you think we'll ever get to see the third one? We talked a bit about that after the show.
Yeah, we did. This is one that's, man, didn't it got caught in a bit of a development hell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit post development hell too.
Yeah. At some point, I mean, it has that sort of cult classic status, and in fact, I could have sworn it's already out. I thought that was hitting this year. Here, let me take a quick look.
Well, it was supposed to, but it's wrapped up in controversy. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, we were supposed to get a premiere for that already.
Yeah.
I get it. It sounds like the director did some really horrible things.
Yeah.
Here's the way I look at it. I mean, people are dumb. All right, they do stupid things.
Yeah.
But if I knew some of the things that people did that make my food when I stop at McDonald's,
yeah,
or the people who did, and that's just one example, but people who have done horrible things that work in the service industry, or do this or that, who help build things, who are Uber taxi drivers, anything. I mean, come on, all right. My point is, do I support this director? Absolutely not from what I heard.
Right.
But did he get caught? Did he do his time? It sounds like it.
Yeah.
And he's, how many, excuse me, and we're not going to get into all this, but because this is a huge topic, especially going on right now with horrible things with Harvey Weinstein and all that.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. How many shitty people are in that industry, and how many times have people ignored that? Come on. Put his movie out. It's done. It's one thing if you would have stopped production altogether, but it's done. It has gone through the whole process. The movie is done.
Right. And I think there sort of comes a line with that. We seem to be, I think as a culture, a little more sensitive today to someone who produces content and their stance on a given issue, or just their outlook, pairing that alongside with the content that they do, which, whatever they're writing or filming about, the high chance it has absolutely nothing to do with their own personal views.
Right.
Some involve themselves personally, others don't. but I've always seen a somewhat of a separation there, and I think when a piece is wrapped up, the movie itself is not the controversy. The movie itself did not commit the crime.
Right, right.
So
I mean, this is something that happened about 30 years ago too. But I mean, that's the other things. Artists. I'm an artist, and I'm a weird guy. I mean, you guys, if you've been listening to the show regularly, you know that. I'm not a really weird guy. I'm not a dangerous person. I wouldn't harm other people, but I'm a weird guy, and artists usually are.
oh yeah,
And I mean, especially when you get into horror
Yeah.
directors, and I mean, come on.
yeah.
Come on. Release this movie.
Oh,
I want to see it. I wanna
same,
see
same.
it. At least, yeah.
Yeah, I saw Jeepers Creepers 1 later than I did 2. In fact, I saw it again just this past month here. But yeah, I'll check it out if it ever comes out.
All right.
You're number 5.
My number 5. Hold on just a second.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to cough there. All right. My number 5 is more of a totem for a type of movie.
All right.
I'm a big zombie fan, so my number 5 is Night of the Living Dead, the original one from Romero, and that stands. Because if you have to
Cool.
pick one, you should see this one, but that for me is more of a stand-in for zombie movies as a whole.
Right.
Listening to this list, somebody's going to have zombies on there. You knew it was going to be me.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you should see that one. And is it horrible by today's standards? Absolutely. Is it a cultural phenomenon? Undoubtedly. You cannot even argue that. It started here.
Yeah.
It started with this movie. It's still fun to watch. But I guess, and I'm cheating a little bit, and this is part of why it's 5 for me. That's why it's number 5. Some great ones that have come out and this is just a short list of dozens and dozens of quality zombie movies to see. Dead Snow, 28 Days Later, Zombieland,
Yeah.
Reanimator, Planet Terror, Day of the Dead, which is I think my favorite zombie movie overall, Dawn of the Dead, the remake or the original, the Evil Dead series, including the remake, all good stuff, all great. But if I have to have one that stands and makes the statement on the list, it's got to be the original Night of the Living Dead.
Cool. Very cool.
Open source, by the way, not trademarked.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why you'll see a lot of people play it around Halloween because they can and they can do it for free.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Also kind of crazy because that number 4 actually links into my number 4, which is
that was my number 5.
Yeah, which is Night of the Living Dead. Absolutely.
You ended up with it on your list. Is that the one you went and rented?
I did. It's actually an oldie that I knew about. My dad told me about this one when I was in college. He said, he's sort of the same. He's not really a horror diehard. He said, if you're looking for where I think a lot of this seem to have taken some inspiration. I forget why he got in that conversation. It's like, you need to check out this one. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it sometime, and I did.
So it's so awesome.
It is. It really is, and I can't make a commentary as much on how that's evolved since I haven't seen all the movies as a result. But yeah, as an origin, good stuff.
Part of what I like about Night of the Living Dead specifically, and this is something in a lot of the Romero movies, he's very hit or miss when it comes to this, is the commentary in it. A lot of people don't catch that. A lot of people miss the commentary that are in zombie movies. A lot of zombie movies don't even have the commentary in it. The remake of Dawn of the Living Dead is a perfect example where the commentary on society and culture is not even existent.
Yeah.
But this movie it's almost a great time capsule in that regard.
Cool.
Oh, wow, look at that. In our top 5 favorite horror movies, a zombie movie ended up higher on the list for you than me.
Can you believe it?
I had a reason to keep it at 5 though.
Yeah.
I felt being a little cheap because there's just so many of them. And I mean, I could, in that list I gave, I could double that in 5 minutes, I'm sure.
Oh, easy. Where is it sitting here? A struggle for me.
Yeah. So,
oh, man.
all right. So that's your number 4,
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead. All right. So we do have some. I wonder if the rest of these are going to end up being the same. We ended up with a lot of the same ones for superhero movies.
We did.
So, number 4 for me, Insidious.
I've not seen that.
You've not seen Insidious. I love Insidious. I remember watching this with a bunch of friends. Geez, I don't know. We're talking several years ago now. Great movie. What part of why that was so scary though was the atmosphere when we had rented it, because all the girls were freaking the fuck out when we were watching it. They were just like they're screaming every few minutes, which just makes the movie kind of more intense.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Great movie about a boy who is being followed by a creature not of this world. I don't want to say anything more. What's important about this is that this really brought this and some other movies really brought horror back from what was almost completely dead of the early from the early 2000s, the first decade of the 2000s for movies. They just Hollywood just forgot how to make horror movies there for quite a while.
Wow.
Now they're great at it. They're awesome all over again. But for a while there, they were bad. Insidious is seen as one of the handfuls that brought them back. And the sequels are great. I've seen 2. I have not seen 3, and I think there's even a 4 in the make. But the first one is that is classic territory right there. It's even got some great fantasy elements to it, but I'm not going to say anything more. If you want one that's going to scare the shit out of you, this is probably the scariest movie on our list. This is a freaky, scary movie.
This looks terrifying.
You got pictures up?
Yeah, I'm just peering through it at a distance here. Yeah, wow.
Don't look at trailers or anything. Don't look at clips because it could ruin it. This one's it's one of those ones. If you know what's going on, going in, it kind of ruins it.
All right, sweet. Leading up to our number 3. Here's where I think we're going to start to see some variance. My number 3 pick, and this is the movie that I went to pick up to actually check. I did not know if this could make my list. I want to see if it did, but it did not displease. My number 3 pick is Get Out. This is
I don't know what that is.
Get Out. Then get out. Yeah, then Get Out. That's all I gotta say to you. No. Get Out was this is actually this year. This is a really fresh one. I remember seeing trailers for this one. And I was just kind of smiling when you were talking about societal commentary in a horror film. I don't think it gets any further than this today in film. And it's just what's interesting about this is the package it presents itself. This looks like anything but a horror going into it. If anything, it frames itself as sort of a slice of life that turns into a really macabre fest of some really sick manipulation, some twisted things that are happening, and it definitely is a horror situation. This follows a biracial couple that the boyfriend is played by Daniel Kaluuya, if I'm saying that right. He plays character Chris. He goes with his girlfriend Rose to a retreat over the weekend to meet her parents. There happens to be a gathering of a very powerful family called the Armitage family while they're there over the weekend, and he, just to try to immerse himself, just try to get comfortable, he takes Rose's mother's suggestion of hypnosis. Chris has an issue with smoking. He's quote-unquote cured of it after he does the first session. Things start to get really twisted from there, especially once he sees what a lot of the guests are all about and what the Armitage family is trying to do. By the time this ends, this is a psychological thrill ride with a pretty major commentary today. I think not just how we receive people, how we view culture and other cultures from the outside, but how we look at each other too, and how we profile certain aspects of society or of each other, even outside of black and white. So I enjoyed this. Right. I definitely enjoyed it. It had some stellar performances, and this was actually being talked about for potentially getting some major awards, or an Emmy or the Gotham Awards, or nominations for, I think, just how this is packaged and presented. But yeah, I liked it.
All right, there you go. Was it gooey? Is there lots of blood?
I can't call it. See, when I think of gooey blood, I think of golly, remind me of that scene we were watching last week. Kurt Russell with
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I think of gooey.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, not so much of
it's
that.
not to that level. It's more like the gore slash crack snap, but yeah,
All
not
right.
gooey.
Okay, we're in the top three. Top three. Now I'm going to give you a hint for mine. The none of my top three have been released in the last 10 years.
Oh,
All
all
right, a
right.
little bit of a hint there. So I would have to shut down any more shows at this point if this one did not end up on our list. And the top three, I almost interchanged these all together. So these top three are almost, they stand side by side for me. But this needed to end up on somebody's list, and I didn't know if you were going to have it on yours or not because you don't watch scary movies. Number three for me, The Shining.
Hey, way to go.
So good. This movie, I mean, this is kind of like Blade Runner for me, where I used to
Yeah.
catch this when I was a kid all the time, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. But like for Blade Runner, I was like, this looks awesome. That for me, it was like, this is scary as fuck. What is up with those little girls? Why is that kid shaking? And what the hell is Rosebud? What are you talking about? And then it's like, oh my god, I want to be in a big giant hotel and drive around on my big wheel. There's so many awesome things in this movie. Jack Nicholson obviously, can credit most of his career started with this one.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to say he was defined by it, but it started here for the most part. And his role in that iconic "Here's Johnny" and just it. But this is a great movie overall, though. It uses a very different form of storytelling that you don't see much nowadays.
Right.
And for that, it's probably not for everyone, but this is classic horror.
Very cool.
You want to talk about gooey blood? I mean, that wall of blood in the river it turns into.
Good pick, man. I this shows how out of horror I am. Shining. Who could not forget Jack Nicholson in that moment, or hasn't, even if you haven't seen the movie, which I'm about to relate. I haven't. I have never watched Shining.
You've never watched The Shining?
I have not.
Oh my god.
Tell me clean.
You went and rented Get Out?
Yeah.
But not The Shining?
Yeah. I got some. Hey, if you got catching up to do, don't start with the backlog. Just start in 2017. Just start going backwards.
Oh my gosh. All right. So number three is Shining for me. What? Let's see. Yeah, where were we at? Two for you then?
Number two.
Okay.
Number two pick. This is from the early 2000s. This is 28 Days Later.
Okay. All right. That was kind of on my list. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I really dug this one. We always poke at the theme of zombie apocalypse and things like that, but this idea of coming out of a coma, waking into an absolute nightmare scenario, really the world falling apart, and I think the handling of the characters we had in this was well done. I really enjoyed the ride, and this is one of those that really managed to really immerse me. The some of my main horror picks, I've sort of been able to either look at it from a commentary standpoint or kind of from an outside looking in. Jeepers Creepers, for example, is so out there and rad with some things. I'm like, yeah, I'm obviously divorced from some of that. But this one really immersed me. I like the concept all the way through. This is something that's been hit on again and repeated later with movies like World War Z, Brad Pitt. I actually enjoyed that too. But yeah, I think this is the earliest look for me, at least, that I had at a zombie APOC movie. And the way it was presented with the really creepy biohazard and the sort of ruin that we're just sort of thrown into. I like that. I felt like I was kind of thrown into the deep end and then kind of fledging, all right, what happens? Find your bearings and look through it. So, cool movie.
No, I agreed. I think it played a big part in bringing zombie movies back. Yeah, they were quite dead for a while too, stuck in B movie hell, where they probably would have stayed forever had it not been for movies like 28 Days Later, Dawn of the Dead, the remake, Very different kind of zombies at that time too. Kind of ironic you say that though. A lot of people say that 28 Days Later stole the whole waking up in the hospital from The Walking Dead, which is how that starts both the TV show and the comic. That may be true, but Walking Dead, the comic, started in October 2003. This movie came out, I think, in June or July of 2003. Yeah. So it actually came out beforehand. That being said, Kirkman had The Walking Dead. He had that idea for years before it finally got published. So, but kind of doesn't really matter, but kind of interesting because a lot of people cite that as, an interesting way to start that whole thing, to wake up in that world like that. It's a great movie though. I enjoyed it. It's a good twist on the whole zombie apocalypse things. A lot of people who are further into horror movies and these things. That's not a zombie movie. That's an infection movie. Shut up. Shut up. It's a zombie movie.
Yeah. No. True to spirit, it is. I dug this one in. I think it wasn't in theaters though. This is one that I actually got the DVD release and checked this one out at home.
Yeah.
So cool.
All right, number 2. Wow, there you have 2 zombie movies.
Yeah.
Higher than my number 5. I feel like I've let my zombie movies down now though.
Don't let me take that crown, man. Come on.
Wow. No, that's crazy. Did you see 28 Weeks Later?
Yes, I did.
With Hawkeye?
I did.
That's his name, by the way. He goes by Hawkeye now. Everybody calls him Hawkeye. No, that was good too, but yeah, the first one's definitely better. They were going to come out with a 28 months later.
Oh, it keeps stretching.
Yeah, I don't think the second one did as well as they were hoping, so they didn't do it. Okay, number 2 for me. Now you should know what these last 2 are for me because I talked a lot about them last time. Yeah. Number 2, The Thing.
Yeah, there we go.
The Thing.
There we go.
So great. So great. I made you lose your lunch last week.
Yeah,
so many clips of The Thing.
Oh, man. You want to talk
What'd you call it? Nightmare Fuel?
Yeah, Nightmare Fuel. You want to talk about that and Gooey. Here you go. Yeah,
so awesome.
Man.
It's so good. I love that movie so much. It's got a place in my heart. In the cold, nasty black part of my heart. That's where it hangs out. It owns it. It sits there with a couple others.
Oh, man. Now, I'm curious. I know there was another redo of this. I don't know if it was a reboot. Did you see the current thing? What was this, in like the mid-2000s?
No, it's not even that old. I think I want to say 2000. It's in the teens.
Okay.
Maybe 2012.
2012.
Yeah, no, I saw it. It's not a reboot. It's a prequel. It's by the same name, but it's a prequel talking about the Thing and what happened just before the original movie starts. Because the original movie starts, and I don't mind sharing this because, if you're going to watch this movie, you're going to see this in the first 5 minutes.
Sure.
So the original movie starts with a helicopter chasing after a wolf that's running in the snow, and there's a guy trying to shoot the wolf. And that's how it starts. And I'm not going to say anything more about that, but that whole thing happened from the prequel that they added on to it. And I'm not going to say anything else because that will spoil things. So, but that's how it starts. So you're immediately thrown into this movie with, well, what the heck is this all about? What's going on here? Which just immediately not immediately, but then escalates into the gore fest that is this movie. It's so great.
Wow.
And a lot of people, excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold here today. A lot of people don't like the prequel that came out. I think it works fine as a companion piece. It does well enough as far as practical effects. But it's almost incomparable because it's like 25 years later or so. So you almost can't compare the two. The practical effects are still good. It's still mainly practical effects, but there's a lot of CGI, and a lot of people don't like that. But whatever, get over it. Just like 28 Days Later, that's a zombie movie. Get over it. It's fun. It's all right. It's not as good as the original. And the original rightfully does stand in front, and even after a new movie was released, and still should.
Right.
Again, also a breakout movie for not quite as much, but Kurt Russell obviously has a lot of fame from this.
Right, right.
He was still doing just fine. He needed a lot of great movies in the 80s, but this is a little earlier on in 82. But this is, I mean, if blood and guts freak you out, this will freak you out. If if body mutilation freaks you out,
Yeah.
this will freak you out.
Yeah.
If dealing with isolated situations and who can you trust kind of scenarios freaks you out, this will freak you out. This hits on so many things. It's so great. If hurting animals freaks you out, this will also freak you out. Not the shining part of this movie, but that's there too. There's so many things here.
Covers all bases.
If extraterrestrials freak you out, this
will
will also freak you. It's everywhere, dude. It's everywhere. But yeah, number 2, the Thing. Even up until just before the show, I'm like, do I switch this? But no, because true to myself, my number 1, it does hit that spot, and maybe some people will be upset about that, but deal with it. 28 Days Later is a zombie movie. Deal with it.
All right.
You're number 1.
Here we are. We're in the last running. It's funny you mentioned extraterrestrial because we talked about this, and Lord knows I can't drop it. My number 1 pick is the original classic Alien by Ridley Scott. This movie is really the one I credit for making me a sci-fi space odyssey fan and also Alien Story fan or exploration. The very concept. What was done here, what the grounds Ridley Scott hit, I thought were brilliant and really left our imaginations to really conjure what exactly we're dealing with. When I was I remember early on just seeing that original scene with the chest burster, and then it scurries off, and then there's just that super awkward, just distilling silence, and you don't know where this thing's at. There's flashes of it, there's hints of it. You know, it's hunting the crew. You see silhouettes, you see shadows and everything else, and you're making this monster sketch the whole time based off of what you originally saw. And you know this thing has to be growing extremely fast. It turns out to be an absolute bloodbath, the massacre, and of course with an ending that you think is going to be an ending that doesn't quite end yet, and Ripley has to go that extra mile. But just cool in so many ways. A horror film that I really got into, really enjoyed, loved all the aspects of the horror. And I mean, you want to talk about a movie that's edge of your seat and just done stylistically well. Personally, I can't point to one better.
I got nothing to add really, other than hey, you probably could have left the cat behind.
Yeah.
not the biggest deal. I don't think the cat's even around in the second one, is it? No, it is at first. It is at first, but I think it stays behind. Right. That's right. Doesn't go with. Because I'm thinking there and thinking gosh, that cat was not a big deal in the second one. It's oh, that's right.
Yeah. But...
I got nothing to add except for alien milk blood. The robot android milk blood stuff that really freaked me out as a kid.
Me too. That was part of that scene. You know, when we talk about cyborgs, androids, that whole kind of deal, the sort of bioorganic, component mechanical mix, you don't always think about that. But then, that scene happens, and I immediately alerted to that, and it was so weird and disconcerting because, back then I was looking at I guess that's just some super smart member of the crew or whatever. I wasn't just listening closely enough, and then I said, "Oh, okay."
No, you're not supposed to know it's an android until they knock its head off.
Right.
Spoiler, I guess, for your 30-something-year-old movie.
Yeah, but no, I agree.
But even in the second one, especially when I remember, again, being a little kid, seeing the second one, and the android's half of, he's been cut in half, ripped in half.
Yeah.
And he's just laying there with his robot milky guts.
Yeah.
And just good God, what the hell are you? What is all that? Because I hadn't seen the first one. I saw the second one first.
Right.
So yeah, no, first one's great, classic. All right, here's where I let everyone down.
All right.
I had well, I think this whole list is awesome, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with my list. But then my number one, some people are going to get this, other people are not. My number one, Cloverfield.
Cloverfield.
Yep, I love me this movie.
No, okay, okay, cool.
I know, I told you, especially what I got, The Thing, The Shining,
Yeah, yeah.
Night of the Living Dead. It ends with Cloverfield. Here's why. Here's the thing. I love Cloverfield. It's my favorite horror movie, which it is more of a thriller than anything. There's so many reasons why I love this movie, though. I've always been a big fan of giant monster movies and such, and the fact that this is basically that movie from the perspective of one of the millions that are getting crushed.
Right.
Was a great way to go about it. It stays true to what it is the whole time, good or bad. The creature is just awesome. The Cloverfield monster, all of his little parasite monsters that come with it. Now, have you seen this movie?
No, I haven't.
You have not seen this movie.
No, I can't help but not. Can't help but to hear about it though.
Oh, so I mean, part of why this movie gets in this spot, though, and maybe it's not fair, but the marketing around this movie. This cemented viral marketing into how we know it. It wrote the book in a lot of ways. There was videos that were coming out for this movie months beforehand. People thought they were real. They were fake news clips that people thought they were real.
Wow.
Like, did you see that news clip from Japan about the oil tanker, or no, not the oil tanker, what do you call it, the big oil things that drill into the ground and such, and I forget what you call them, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah, and how it got crushed and sunk into the sea, and it's like, that didn't happen. That was, and they did like dozens of them, one for like each country, and they were in Japanese, and they were in Chinese, and they were in they were in all these different languages, and they did them with all different accents, and there was videos, video blogs from some of the people that are at the party at the beginning. That, I mean, it interacted with everything you see from Bad Robot and J.J. Abrams with like Slusho and all this stuff. And there's so much to it, and they did the same thing with Cloverfield Lane, not to the same extent. But yeah, you can delve into this movie so deep, but then at the same time, you don't have to.
Right.
If you just see this movie for what it is, it's great that way too. I'm visually, it's just remarkable. A lot of people don't like it because it's shaky cam. Sorry, a good shaky cam film does not bother me.
Right.
There's some good ones out there. Which notably, one movie I thought about, obviously didn't make my list, but I guess a noteworthy one is the Blair Witch Project. Did not make my list though. Definitely not in a top 5. But yeah, Cloverfield is there at number 1, and it doesn't hit all the same things that the rest of these movies do. It's not an overly gory movie. There's definitely tons of blood and there's some gore. I mean, the scene where the one chick explodes. You don't even get to see it explode, but you get to see enough of what happens, and that's great. That's great horror storytelling. I think back to stuff like that and talking about a movie that isn't a horror movie. Oh geez. Oh boy, I can't remember the name of that freaking movie with Al Pacino.
Oh, Scarface. Oh, classic.
Yeah, that whole scene in the bathtub with the chainsaw, you never see a thing, but it freaks you out, and that's just great storytelling right there. And it's very similar in that respect, but it's a perspective from this kind of movie that they do it right, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's being one of the people. I mean, there's this gigantic monster ripping through New York City, and this whole thing takes place from the perspective of a small group of people who are just trying to survive.
Cool. Very cool. Most of the time in a film like this, I'd expect things to be from a military perspective or some kind of heroic sergeant or something like that. But I think in general, one thing that a theme that runs through horror that I enjoy is the element of uncertainty, that element of panic, or trying to leverage your resources to do the best you can with a crazy, unimaginable situation. And that really adds on to the whole unpredictability factor. That's really
Hmm.
cool. Really cool. So,
So now that I've blown the credibility of my whole list away, it's not as bad as Superman 4. But a horror, I'm sure a lot of horror fans may understand where I'm coming from, but just don't agree with my list. But I'm sticking with it. I had to be true to myself, and that is my number one favorite horror movie.
all right.
Uh, yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
there we have it.
Their top fives. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree, or let us know how much you hate my list. Comment below. Love to hear it and want to see what everyone else's lists are as well.
Sweet. Post up. But until then, it's time for an info minute.
Going right into the info minute.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna watch Cloverfield? You need to watch it now. I'm actually gonna watch it again tonight.
This is
If you can go rent Get Out.
yeah.
You
You
can go
know,
rent
okay,
Cloverfield.
here, right before I go in info minute about Get Out, I'll say this because I know this kind of caught you off guard. That is from the same producer of Insidious.
Okay.
So
Well, now that makes me want to go see Get Out.
yeah, I'm telling you, if he's applying any of what I saw here to apparently what you're saying in Insidious and others, he's pretty brilliant. So
So here's what you need to do. All right, you need to go for the rest of this weekend. I'm giving you homework.
man,
You need to go to the store and or Redbox or whatever. Go to a video store. I don't know. Look for them on Netflix or try to stream them or whatever. And you need to watch The Thing in Cloverfield.
the thing. Look, if you ask me to watch the thing, I'm gonna say my dog ate it. So
It's ironic that you say that. So
because
ironic
because
that you say that.
yeah.
You don't even know why that's ironic.
No, I
You have to
don't.
watch the
I'm
thing to see.
I'm laughing because I'm like, yeah, wow, I actually hit something in banging. Sure enough, jeez, crazy.
Maybe you should see Cloverfield first. I don't know. The Thing might be too much for you. Because they are completely different scary movies. They're great in their own ways. But you have to come on. You have to see one of the two. Tell me you'll see one of the two before Halloween.
Before Halloween's better.
Okay.
Actually, well, shoot, man, you know I'm gonna be out of town. Can't, frick. Okay, look,
Some watching the hotel.
you'll get this. I will watch one of them eventually. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Till then, my dog ate it. So
All right.
I
Well,
didn't have a dog.
so people aren't wondering when you ever saw him. You have to say when you saw it, and you have to see it before the year is over. No. And if we're putting that on there, if we're giving you almost 3 months or 2.5 months, you have to see them both before the year is over.
No, you get one. If I do two, it'll be extra credit.
All right, extra credit. I'll go see Get Out.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Our
Info minute.
our info
That's
minute
right.
for this info minute. Here, you're gonna need this picture. I'll send it to you right now. Here you
Oh boy.
go. This info minute is covers KFC. In little
KFC again?
yeah, this is worth it though. KFC, I don't know, they're on a roll with little trendy things here. This is just something caught by Reddit and a few other really close social media watching this. So you've all heard of KFC and its famous blend that there are 11 spices and herbs that make up.
Herbs.
Yeah, herbs.
Spices made by Herb.
Exactly. That compose their signature recipe. It turns out that there's a breakdown of what KFC actually follows on Twitter. And if I just sent you that picture, Chris, if you got it. So
It's a little small, but I'm trying.
yeah, if you can sort of make that out. The best part is, yes, the Spice Girls are involved in this, or at least X Spice, as well as a number of men just named Herb.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
yeah, so basically it's 6 herbs, and you have 5 spices. The 5 spices being Victoria Beckham, Gary Horner and Melanie Brown. Melanie, yeah. Uh, Basically, it's 11. And what bugged people out about this are like, wait, are KFC actually trying to tell us that it's 5 spices and 6 herbs? And are they, not giving us which ones, but have they actually finally given out part of that recipe? Mind equals blown. This is just fun. This is just flat out fun, and I'm chuckling because we had did a previous one on KFC cell phones, out in Asia. Now with this whole social media tool, we're kind of at the point these days where I feel we don't see a whole lot that surprises us or little subtle things like this. A lot of what comes out of social media is pretty blasted. People look for what's trending. People look for what's gone viral. People look at what's gone for millions upon millions of views. This is the kind of stuff that usually gets under people's radars, and it just makes you smile.
That's awesome, because they are only following 11 things.
Yes.
It's not; these aren't hidden among other things. No. It's only those 11.
No. So
it's kind of weird. That's really weird.
It is. But go KFC. I've enjoyed. I don't know what it is, but whoever has been behind their marketing changes, including like the crispy kernel, the regular kernel, the argument over who's the real kernel.
Their marketing's been hilarious.
Yeah, the social media, the phone thing, they're on a roll, and this is great. I'd love to see something like this coming out of a food chain. So,
I've caught this every once in a while. I catch it. One to follow on Twitter that's a lot of fun, I guess, is Wendy's.
I heard that,
and they'll always talk bad about like Taco Bell and McDonald's and stuff. I like Wendy's too, by the way. I think they're one of my favorite.
No, it's good. Wendy's goes back a long way, especially just for having just solid quality behind, so you can go pick up and grab for fast food. I know my folks are big fans of Wendy's and, old school, and it's still good. Stop by today. Mostly, I have to kind of trek a bit for Arby's. I got like Taco Bell and BK and the classics a lot near. Wendy's a little further out from me. I never see them.
They're always a little further out, aren't they?
They are. I swear.
Pisses me off. It's like, I want Wendy's, but I don't have quite enough time to go grab Wendy's.
Yeah.
No, I like Wendy's though. This week's episode of the Jagged Edge brought to you by Wendy's. That would be awesome if it was. Yeah, I would eat it. I'd just sit here for the last minute and just eat a burger until you get so awesome it was.
No.
Oh, this is funny though. 11 herbs and spices. That's great, and that's what they're actually following. That's awesome. And so somebody just realized this. I mean, is this something new? I wonder how long it's been around.
It's a good question. I mean, if you look, the KFC Twitter, I believe that opened July 08.
It's funny if they PM'd them or just sent these people a text and just gave them the name of one of the herbs and spices, the one that they represent, and they don't know who texted them or what it is, what the hell they got.
It'd be great if it was just like one word at like a random text at like 2 a.m. or something.
Somebody's investigating, and so one of them says, "Well, sometime when it was like in 2011, I got a text that just said whatever weird spice or something." Yeah. I had no idea what it meant. This is a movie coming up.
It's waiting to happen. I'm feeling the drama. I love it.
That's funny.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us for now. You people stay tuned, of course. Not this week, but the week after that, we're going to have our Thor Ragnarok review coming up.
Oh, that's 2 weeks away.
Just 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. I've been getting hyped for that out of my mind, but of course we'll have plenty more coming at you. Thanks as always for tuning in, and you take it easy.
See you later.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything to go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it's great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Yeah, who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and Maybe not mine. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.